Hello, welcome.
Hello, welcome.
My name is Sasa Popovic. I'm product manager with Azure SQL team in Microsoft, and Dani is here today with me.
Hi, I'm Dani, also product manager with Azure SQL. Thank you for coming to our demo party. Woohoo! Thank you. Oh, we have like a feedback.
We have a bit of feedback. So, do you want to start, Dani?
Sure.
Yeah.
So first of all, let's thank our sponsors, because without the sponsors, this conference would not be possible. So yeah, good job, sponsors. Thank you. Appreciate it. So let's get this party started. So how we, thought of this is to essentially show you some of the things hands-on. At the same time, we still going to have a couple of slides because we need to explain the concept before we actually dive into a particular demo. So the first thing, and by the way, before we start, this is a managed instance demo party. So how many of you are actually using managed instance? Maybe with a raise of hands. Yes, great. Great. So thank you. Hopefully you're going to learn some new things about managed instance. We're going to be here also after the session if you want to ask us some additional questions about the managed instance or anything you'd like to know. Will be available after the session. So without further ado, in this first part, we wanted to talk about cost optimization and maybe how you can save money using managed instance. I guess that's an important topic of everyone, right? Everyone wants to save a little bit of money, right? Yes? Yeah? Okay. So let's show you how from our perspective, of course. So we're going to start this in kind of a couple of sections, 4 sections. Like typically when you go into managed instance, you build a proof of concept, which is POC, to validate what you're doing with managed instance. Then you typically would move into dev test environment, move to production, and then expand that production. So we're going to kind of reflect upon these steps in what we're going to talk about. First of all, not sure if many of you knew we now offer SQL Managed Instance for free, so it's free to try. Did you guys know that there's a free MI? Yes, a couple of folks, great. So there are, of course, limitations. It's 750 vCore hours a month. It's limited to 64 gigabytes of storage. And it's 4 or 8 vCores. And the limitation is only 1 managed instance per subscription. But at least this is better than before, right? Where you just had to pay for managed instance. Maybe you're doing proof of concept. Maybe you're not sure if this is going to work for you. But there's a way now to set up. We have a question.
I already enrolled for this free instance. It was a while back. And then I just suspended it, so I didn't pay it. But the 12 months still apply?
They still apply because you have it provisioned, right? Yeah. So I will repeat the question. So the gentleman says here he basically got a free managed instance. He provisioned it, and you can start it and stop it. So he stopped it, and he's asking, are his 12 months still counting? Yes, they are, because it's still provisioned resource. You did not delete it. So it still counts. It's still there. It's not doing nothing, but still the count is going.
So how can I get a new subscription?
How can you get a new subscription? Look at the Azure Docs creating a new subscription.
And then I get a new...
Yes. So different organizations can have multiple subscriptions. So one company, if you have like a company registered as a parent, company can have multiple subscriptions. And sometimes people do this for various reasons. Maybe they want to separate accounting from, I don't know, engineering from, whatever the case is. So you can have multiple subscriptions in your account. And then for each subscription, get a new one. You could do that. Thank you for those questions. Appreciate it. So we really hope you're going to use the free offer. And let's get into the demo of how this works. This is a standard screen of provisioning managed instance. You just click apply offer, simple as that. And how you know that the offer works, on the right-hand side, the price is going to be 0. You will still need to fill out all the necessary information, like the instance resource group, of course, which is like a default in Azure when you want to put it. the instance name, whatever that want to be, region, and then you're limited to 4 or 8 vCores for the free offer. You, of course, need to set up the authentication type. It's a Windows, is it SQL Auth or is it Entra? We recommend Entra. It is much more, that's a former Azure AD. It's much more secure. You get to the summary screen, you provision it, that's it. It's really, really simplified. It's just the apply offer, and that's how you can try it out. So this is our first quick demo. And then gentleman kind of hinted, because he was using it, you can also start it and stop it. So start and stop is feature not only a free managed instance, but if you're using a regular managed instance, production ones, you can start it and stop it if you do not need it. It's only available for general purpose service tier. It is not available for business critical. So when you're not using it, just stop it. There are 2 ways. And there are 2 ways how you can do it. I'm going to talk about it later. But before that, how many guys of you here is aware of maybe different benefits, how you can save money, like DevTest subscription? Who's familiar with DevTest subscription? Only a few, right? Who's familiar with reserved instances? Right? A lot of people. Okay, that's good to know. So now I'm going to talk from a different perspective, applying start and stop and kind of different ways of saving. And my colleague Sasa will kind of reiterate, hey guys, these are all the ways you can save on a managed instance. So first of all, I'm going to start with this graph, talking about the pricing. So pay-as-you-go is basically the regular price of managed instance. This is probably the 4-core one, without any discounts. If you use DevTest subscription, you just need to provision, and as you asked me, you can have multiple subscriptions. So you can have a production subscription, you can have DevTest subscription. DevTest subscription automatically gets the discount. So there's nothing you need to do. So besides provisioning DevTest subscription, you provision it, you deploy MI in it, automatically you get that discounted price. So that's something that you guys maybe could take advantage of. At the same time, this is an example. If you use DevTest subscription with start and stop, this is kind of an average. That's how you can save a little bit more money. So combining DevTest plus start and stop. Here is an example of reserved instance. I know that a lot of you guys raised your hands, but I'm going to explain what it is. It's basically if you commit to prepay 1 year or 3 year, of course you can pay it monthly. So if you have a commitment to Azure in a long term, in terms of certain number of cores, there's even discounted price because you're going to be a long-term customer. So combining then reserved instances, you automatically get cheaper price. Combining with DevTest subscription and combining with start and stop, one of the guys calculated they can really, like if you're using for DevTest, you can really run it cheaply. So that's what I wanted to say about this. And now, starting and stopping the instance, there are 2 ways you can do it. One is on demand, which is basically button, click, click, start and stop, and scheduled. You can actually create a schedule. If you have a use case where you want the instance to come on and off at certain time, you can schedule it and it's going to be automatic for you. However, important to note here are some times. So stopping takes about 5 minutes and starting takes about 20 minutes because it's called a deep sleep. So it needs to wake up. So it takes time to wake up. So maybe if you're putting in a scheduler or planning for this, just be aware of these, that it takes time for the instance to wake up. And here, the second demo. So this is the typical standard managed instance. Here at the top, you see that we have the new buttons that have appeared, start and stop, right? So it's very simple and intuitive. Start starts the instance. You can see that the instance is started because the button is all grayed out. Yeah. And of course, if you want to stop it, you just click on stop. So here I'm going to click on the left-hand side. I'm going to see a new menu, start, stop, schedule. So clicking on the start, stop, schedule gets you to the scheduler. You can even select a time zone, which is, I think we don't need it here for Europe, but it would be convenient worldwide if you're working different time zones. And then here you set up your days, start times, and then here you have an option to delete or to edit. So you can delete an entry or can edit entry, and you can create, by clicking here on create a schedule item, you can have as many items as you want. So that's how it's very simple. You click on apply on the top, button, and that's it. It just automatically works for you. So I really hope that this is something that you guys can use in terms of the start-stop. And Sasha, I was wondering, what are all the ways, I kind of mentioned it throughout the presentation, but can you help me understand all the ways how you can save money with managed instance?
Definitely.
And I'm also wondering, how can I kind of estimate the cost? We're kind of putting the numbers here, but how can it be more concrete for me? Can you help me out?
So there are a number of options how you can do cost optimization. Four most impactful ones are these that you can see on the screen. So if you have already purchased a SQL Server license and you're using SQL Server and you want to migrate part of this workload or entire workload to Azure, there is Azure Hybrid Benefit where you basically can apply these SQL licenses that you have purchased through software assurance. You can apply that to Azure SQL Managed Instance and Azure SQL Database as well. So this can SQL license is one of the major contributors to price, so vCore and license. So this can lead to savings. There is a ratio, so like if you have enterprise license for enterprise, it counts as 4 vCore licenses for general purpose. It counts as 1 for business critical. So like it's not always 1-to-1. So there are some additional benefits through these factors. Reserve capacity is another way. So if you commit to purchasing for a year or a 3 years period, you can get 33 and 55%. Reserve capacity is applied only for physical vCores, so that's what is discounted. So this does not apply for SQL license, storage, networking, etc. Only for vCores. But again, that is one of the major contributors to price, so it is a significant discount. There is dev test pricing. If you are running dev test workloads, it's advised to have dev test subscription. And then with dev test subscription, we do not charge for, okay, something happened with the,
I just went to sleep.
Okay. With dev test pricing, you are not charged for SQL licenses, so it's a good discount. And then finally, there is this license-free standby license benefit. And you can think of it in this way. If you have an idle secondary in any kind of configuration, and that can be with failover groups, so you have geoprimary and geosecondary, and this secondary is a standby replica, meaning you are not using it for read-only workload, but it is just a standby replica for disaster recovery purposes. Or similarly, if you're using managed instance link, so you're using managed instance as a secondary for your SQL server, or vice versa. In these situations, these standby secondaries licenses on these instances are free of charge if you activate this benefit. So a lot of ways to save on vCores and licenses through this. And then we have a pricing calculator. Just let me pause this for a second. So how many of you used pricing calculator? Okay, so you already know it's quite convenient. So basically with pricing calculator, you choose the product, and there you have everything that's important that's contributing to the price. So we have regions, we have instance type, single or pool, we have hardware type, disaster recovery, configuration. So all of these details, so you can choose and see. Okay, this is going to be tricky.
SOS.
Any idea? So because I'm for some reason it is not showing the
screen. I don't know.
Yeah.
Can you what would engineers do? Like plug it and plug it?
Exactly.
Can we try that? Reboot it? Reboot it?
Try.
Plug it and plug it. So while this is being figured out, how many of you guys actually know about MI-Link?
Okay, now it's showing some blue.
Blue? No,
No, but
no,
this
we have
is
green.
this is Apple device, so not
Oh,
sure.
so the source is different. No, we need some purple for the party. Definitely. Technical issues. That's okay. This wouldn't be fun without any technical issues, right? Where's the tech support? You know, when you have your projects, how, you know, what's the turnaround time for the support?
Okay, it's back.
Do we need to put in a ticket? Or is it? Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks. Okay, so we're back. So you can dial in your choices. You can also kind of switch between different choices to see how this impact price. You can switch here to dev test pricing if you want to see how that applies. So you see that the price is now lower. Some of these things that I mentioned. So if we want to change, apply these license benefits. So AHub, you will see that it impacts the price significantly. We can switch between 1 and 3 year reserved so that you can see how that impacts the price. If you pay monthly or upfront, that's not impacting the price, so it's the same. Let's see what else we have here. So if we choose that we want to see how geosecondary will be charged, then we can activate failover rights for this one. And it will show us the price for that.
And using the failover rights is simple. Like in Portal, when you go to Manage Instance Configuration, you just choose, I'm using this secondary replica, so you automatically get it discounted.
So finally, I would say pricing calculator is not 100% time accurate, but it's very good to start with that. And once you, you can explore your options, choose a configuration. And once you are settled on something, I would advise, especially if you have access to Azure Portal, you can go into Azure Portal and kind of start provisioning what you want to provision, and you will also get the price estimate. Like if there is, in some short period of time, there is a diff between calculator and reality, what you see on Azure Portal will be always more accurate. You can also cross-check with the documentation, which is always up to date. So this is a great tool. It's just like at the final stage, do the cross-check and make sure that that it's not kind of showing some wrong numbers. And then the next thing that I want to demo is Azure SQL Managed Instance pools. This is one of the functionalities that we had in public preview for a long time, and we GA'd it
just recently.
Yeah,
so it's like a brand new update to this capability.
And what is instance pool? So this is like a resource that you can provision. You pay for instance pool, and then within a pool you can provision instances. And the most useful value of instance pool is the fact that you can provision small 2 vCore instances. If you provision single instances, 4 vCore is smallest instance that you can have. So with this, you can have half the instance, half the price. So if you are using number of instances, and this starts basically from 4, like if you have 4 instances and you want them to be small, if you put them in an 8 vCore instance pool, you can save basically 50% with this. There are other benefits. So because this is a pre-provisioned resource, then provisioning instances within a pool is faster and more convenient. And let's see how it looks. So here I have some, like this is the smallest configuration that you have, 4 vCore instances in 8 vCore pool. Instances in vCore pool can vary in size. Once they are in the pool, of course, you can resize. This resize is online operation, meaning just a small disconnect while failing over and finishing the operation. instance pool can also be resized. Like if you want to add more instances, there is no room, you can upscale instance pool and add instances. If you have removed some, you can scale down your instance pool.
So can I put in manage instance in and out of a pool?
Yes, if you have instances that are singletons, you can move them into an instance pool, and then you can scale them down to 2 vCores. One maybe not so obvious benefit, but 2 vCore SQL MI instance pool is cheaper than 2 vCore SQL VM. Once you have the pool, you have a lot of options to kind of quickly provision and maybe delegate these instances to different teams. So you can use this as like a sharing model. Let's take a look at the demo. So in the demo, I will create a pool and I will create an instance. It is quite straightforward, but it's useful to kind of see how things work. So I will search for instance pools here, and I will go to create. I will create a new one. And here, this is regular stuff. I will choose a resource group or create a new one. I'm choosing an existing one. I will give my pool a name and choose Azure region for it. And I can configure size and hardware generation for instance pool, and this will be applicable then for all instances within it. I go to networking. Here I will create a new VNet that will be used for this managed instance. I go through some additional settings. These are all good defaults, so I will just create this instance pool. And once this is done, then I will be able to, so the workflow will kind of show me that this is done, and it will lead me to resource group from which I will be able to open instance pool. Okay, I'm opening instance pool, and now within this, I can create managed instance. Now, when creating managed instance, I will again give it a name because it's a instance. It has a name that I can use it to connect. I will choose instance pool where it lands. I can give this instance a size. Cap for me is the size of instance pool, so in this case 8. I can choose different storage for backups. I configure separately authentication to this instance. I will set Enter ID admin. In this case, I will configure public endpoint, so connectivity can be configured differently for instances in a pool, so there's flexibility there. And finally, I create the instance.
And I think provisioning instance in instance pool is much faster than
Yes.
a regular one in the singleton, right?
And by the way, we're showing this in the portal because it's convenient for demos, but creating resources and managing them, it's available through REST API, through Azure PowerShell, CLI, so you can automate this. And this can be especially useful for this scenario of instance pools and number of instances. So if you have a lot of them and you want to check their sizes, maybe at some point you want to downsize all of them to 2 vCores, so you can use scripting for this. And let me see. Yeah, here I'm just like browsing and showing that this instance now on the portal looks pretty much like any regular instance, so you can check the details of this instance. You can see the properties and everything that's relevant. Okay. So now we switch to next-gen general purpose, which is in preview. So Dani, can you please tell us a little bit about
thanks,
this
Sasha.
and
Thanks.
demo?
Thanks very much for telling us about instance pools. Do you guys find this useful, instance pools? Did you know about instance pools? Yeah? Okay, good. Thank you. The next thing I would like to talk about is an upgrade that we're doing to manage instance to general purpose service tier. How many of you have noticed in the portal that little button, enable next gen manage instance? 2 guys? Awesome. All right. So essentially what we're doing is general purpose is our least expensive service tier, as you guys all know it. But we're now making them, we have some limitations on the managed instance. There are like 100 databases, but now with generation 2, we call it next generation, or we call it internally GPv2 version 2. We jump from 100 databases to 500 databases. So some of you might find that exciting. So you can pack more densely on a single managed instance. Significantly improved performance. So 2x IOPS, 3x max log rate, 2x better latency, and max data throughput 1200 megabits per second. So that's significant improvement. 2x increased max storage size. Well, so earlier our limitation was 16 terabytes. Now managed instance, a general purpose V2 service tier can go up to 32 terabytes. And then we have more vCore flexibility. What this means, when you're provisioning managed instance, before you could choose, well, in instance pools, it's 2 cores, but really you'd go 4, 8, 16, it goes in increments, 32. Now we have introduced which we call smaller click stops, but this means now you can have 6 vCores, 10, 12, 20. So maybe you do not want to pay or to have, 32 cores, maybe you want to have 20, or you maybe want to have 6. Now there's a finer tuning available on the slider for you automatically. And a completely new addition, and this is an industry first, other competitors don't have it. You have an IOPS slider, so you can choose how much IOPS you need, and if you have more IOPS, more performance, with lesser number of other resources, you can do that. You can do that as well. Here is kind of more, I wanted to show this out as a technical spec. So you see current GP in that column that I put in the red box. So the current GP technical specifications, and the right-hand side, the next gen general purpose specifications. So you see some significant improvements here from 5 to 10 milliseconds, average I/O latency down to 3 and 4 milliseconds, then IOPS jumping to 80K from 30 to 50K, then max log rate from 120, 192. Of course, we talked about maximum storage size in databases. For all of you for whom find this important, max DB files from 280 to 32,767. Minimum vCore stays the same. For a singleton managed instance, of course, if you go to instance pools, you can get 2. And then up to 128 vCores, and then 16 click stops. That's the course that you can choose. And new IOPS slider. So how does it work? Essentially in the portal, today, you have this button. You just click enable, and then you will get options to enable the managed instance. On the left-hand side, you just click on the compute and storage, and then you will get this button. So at this time, because it's in preview, it's an opt-in, so you need to opt in. It's going to go to GA very, very soon. And our general strategy, so for today, for you need to opt into this. If you do not opt in, we essentially want to upgrade every GP1 to GPv2 in time. So we're going to do that automatically at some point in time. So everybody's going to get a free upgrade. But if you want it faster, you need to opt in today. Here is where I wanted to show the screenshot, and I'm going to show you a demo of how this works. So you click on this thing enabled there. You get new hardware types, and then you get different sliders, namely IOPS slider, more click stops, etc. So it's all built into the AI, into the user interface. And then here, just maybe for the reference purposes, throughput files, bigger the file size is, more throughput you have. Just wanted to point this out technically. So in terms of the cost, what does it cost? It costs the same, absolutely the same. So same as GPv1. Essentially, so what are we saying? It's not new service tier, it's an upgrade. So we're upgrading the general purpose service tier. What is charged? It's the IOPS. So if you need more IOPS with the same configuration, then storage price divided by 3, and there are some examples, that's going to cost you more. So if you wanted the default IOPS, the price is the same. If you move the slider to have more IOPS, then the price will change. So that's the difference. But for the base version and for the same, or actually increased, a little bit increased IOPS, the cost is the same. So how does it work? Here is a short live demo that's gonna talk about it. So this is my standard managed instance. You see here that I can go up to 64 cores. So I'm limited in there. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I will look at my storage configuration, which is limited, 64 cores, that's fine. I can move it only to 16 terabytes, which you see here. That's our current limitation. And then here's the next gen. Next gen is our official name, although we call it GPv2. Next gen is how we officially call it. You have the button, need to click enable. And what happens is that the UI automatically changes in here. So you see we got 128 here. And then we will get more storage, and we got an IOP slider below. So let's kind of see how that works. So I can move to 128. Of course, there are more click stops here. You can see 6, you can see 10, 12. This was not existing before, right? So you can fine tune it. And you see by moving the cores, you get more storage. So there's a relationship between the cores and the storage. And in this case, starting with 32 cores, you can get 32 terabytes. So that's your minimum to get the 32 terabytes. So that's the relationship behind it. And then at the end, there is an IOPS slider. Need to get to that part. And here is where I provision my max, provision my max IOPS that I like to have for this instance. So we hope that this is something that you're going to find useful. The next thing I wanted to show you is this benchmark test. And this is using TPCC, so it's a standard industry test for performance. So with TPCC, this is HammerDB, and we see GPv2. I got almost 250K of TPM transactions per minute, and then on the GPU1, it's kind of stalling. It's like in the vicinity of 6,000-7,000. So you see the max it has reached here. It's like 6,000 IOPS, and here is reached 250K. So it's a significant improvement. So how did we do this? Essentially, you might ask, and then I'll move to my colleague Sasha. We essentially replatformed managed instance, and we put in a new storage layer, and that new storage layer is much faster and gives more performance capabilities. And for all of you that do not opt in the next couple of months, we're going to be automatically upgrading you. Of course, we need to wait for the service to become general available, which is going to happen very soon. And then when it becomes general available, we're going to upgrade everyone automatically, or you click the button and you opt in right away. So I hope this is useful to you, like for the same amount of money, same performance. We have a question.
Yeah, one question in terms of this I/O flexibility you talk about.
Mm-hmm.
One question.
Is it turned on?
Turn it on and off again? Yeah, I tried it. Okay, One question in terms of I/O flexibility. You talked about that you move the slider from left to right. Is it possible that you, for example, do it in the same way as for ADX, that you define custom rules if you see that you will get throttled by I/O and then extend it automatically, or doing it for Fabric like auto building for Spark, like this functionality?
So the question is, if the workload needs it, can we automatically increase the IOPS?
Exactly.
The answer is the service does not provide that to you. So what you could do, maybe you could script it yourself. So we do not observe your workload, so we do not know what's behaving with the workload. But maybe if you have some way monitoring or whatever, that you can detect that your workload needs more IOPS in some ways, then you can, initiating then APIs for managed instance management or PowerShell, whatever your interface is, but APIs maybe, you could then ask to upscale this managed instance. So you can set in a request to upscale this managed instance. So that's something that you would need to do yourself. But API would be the interface to whatever your custom software is to change any configuration of the managed instance.
And I'm not losing the connection after scaling, right? This is
No, you're not. All the managed instance operations are so-called online operations. So you can even switch between general purpose and business critical, it's like a radical change, right? You're changing the whole service tier.
Yeah, but
it's an
there's a
online
short
operation.
downtime when I change the
Yes, if we need to change an instance underneath, there's a failover. So basically what happens, a new instance gets built.
Yeah, it's just enough if you answer the question, if it's for I/O, it's not the case. If I scale it up, I get immediately the power without having this failover, or is it also a failover in the backend?
It depends. It depends. It depends. So what we can do is, if after the session you leave me your contact details, I'll connect you with the person who can give you exact information. But the answer is depends, and we need to double click on that. Yeah. So what do we have more in the store today? What is this fabric mirroring thing?
So we're switching to we're switching to some quite new things for Azure SQL Managed Instance. So let me just quickly check who already saw me demoing fabric mirroring for Azure SQL Managed Instance in the last couple of days. Okay, few people did. So I will repeat. I mean, I apologize, but yeah, there are folks that I think they will like to see this. So, quick intro. So, why is fabric mirroring relevant for Azure SQL Managed Instance? Running hybrid workloads, meaning OLTP and analytical workloads side by side, it can be challenging for a database because these two basically need to have data organized in a different way in order to kind of run your queries quickly and optimally. So fabric mirroring is a new way to try to solve this and tackle this problem. And what fabric mirroring does, you can set up fabric mirroring for some of your tables in Azure SQL Managed Instance or all of your tables. And what it will do, it will replicate all data, and from that moment on, it will also replicate all data changes into one lake. One lake is a place in Fabric where all data in Fabric lives, and data in one lake is stored in Delta Parquet format, meaning it's optimized, it's a columnar data store, it's optimal for analytical workloads. So you set up mirroring, and then your data gets mirrored into the one lake. And then if you want to do any kind of analytical workloads, run reports, data analysis, you do it then on top of that mirrored data in Fabric, where it's kind of optimal to run that kind of workload. And that leaves your database alone, and it can serve OLTP workload in a very efficient way. So, for example, if you're today running both analytical and OLTP, if you mirror and offload your reports, maybe you can downscale your Azure SQL Managed Instance because it will start handling only OLTP workloads. So how it works under the hood, just briefly, you have inserts, updates, deletes. They go like when you modify data, it goes as entries in transaction log. And what fabric mirroring does, it takes initial snapshot of your data, puts it in one lake, and then continuously reads these elements from transaction log and what is relevant for replication. It applies that to your mirrored database in one lake. So this is very integrated experience. You very simply configure things, and then this initial snapshot and data replication continuous with low latency happens for you. So let's see how we set up fabric mirroring. So we start in Fabric workspace. In our workspace, I will create a new item, and this new item will be mirrored Azure SQL Managed Instance. So I create this, and to create it, I will need to provision. So I will see existing managed instances that maybe I'm mirroring, but I will create a new one. I will provide connection string, and I will choose a database in managed instance that I want to mirror. I provision credentials, and I connect to this. So when I connect, this wizard will show me now objects that I can mirror. So I will see tables that I can mirror. Some of these yellow marks say that I have some columns that I cannot mirror, but those columns will be, probably because of data types, will be omitted from mirroring. Rest is relevant. So here, just a moment, it went a bit too fast for me today. So here I selected I want to mirror all tables, and I also chosen this one. And basically I said, if I create tables in the future or managed instance, I want to mirror them as well. So like whatever happens in managed instance, mirror that. We proceed. So the Fabric will now create this mirrored database in Fabric. In one lake in the storage layer. It will provision SQL Analytics endpoint, which is basically how I connect to it, and it will start mirroring. And on the Fabric side, oh, sorry, this was a wrong move. Just a moment. Okay. Okay, I was here somewhere. Yeah. So on the Fabric side, I can see, I can monitor the mirroring. I can see the progress, and I can see number of rows that have been mirrored for each database, and the last completed time for mirroring for each database. Now, let's see how we can query this data. So, okay. So now I will go to this SQL Analytics endpoint for my mirror database. This is basically where you connect to query the data. In the Fabric experience, I can explore schemas. I can see tables that I have there that I'm mirroring. I will be able to, from this experience, I have a query editor here, and I will be able to query the data. So let's do that. Let's select top 10 items from orders which have biggest discount. So here I see that I have several items that have 40% discount. So, okay, this is biggest discount that happened in sales in the past period. So let's switch to SSMS, which is connected to Managed Instance, so not to Fabric, Managed Instance. And let's here simulate. Okay. This is a bit confusing interface for, okay. So let's simulate that there was another sales, and this sales had 50% discount. So once this happens, this should, in my previous query, appear as a top 1 item. So on Managed Instance side, I see that it indeed is. And then when I query this in Fabric, this was replicated with low latency, and in Fabric, I see that data changes are really propagating, and what happened on Managed Instance side, I can query it on Fabric side and see the results. Okay. Okay. Now, I have my data now mirrored in Fabric, so let's create a report on top of that data. I will use Copilot for this. I can describe what kind of a report I want to have. So I want to see a chart. I want to see volume sales over time. Copilot doesn't get it right every time. Sometimes you need to iterate a bit, but in this pre-recorded demo, it was successful. So I see my sales over time. And yeah, this was quite simple and quick, very convenient, and this report is not hitting my Managed Instance. It is generating reports from my data that's mirrored in Fabric. So let's do a following thing. Now I want to alter my table in Managed Instance side and add a column, calculated column. That will actually be a month where sales happened. So I will calculate it from date. So I add this column on managed instance side, and because schema is also mirrored, this column will be available in my mirrored database, and I will be able to utilize it in the report. So I want to switch this report from like a timeline to per month. So I remove a date from x-axis, and I will add a month, and I will make a different kind of report. My schema changed on the source side, it propagated, I got the values, so it's all happening transparently under the hood without a lot of work. So as I said, very super integrated experience where you achieve a lot of things just by relying on fabric mirroring. Just a moment. Let me just switch to this one so that it stops moving. Yeah.
Yes, can we get a mic?
Yeah.
We have a question.
Yeah, here.
There.
Yeah.
So you just added a new column.
Yeah.
And you updated the values in it. So it's a calculated column. What if you used a computed column?
If I used computed column, I believe there are no limitations. I believe that computed columns can be mirrored, but I'm not 100% sure on that one. So we can.
You told us that there were like exclamation marks, that some of the data columns are, but it's data types or stuff like computed.
So data types are currently in this space limitations. So typically these exotic and some new data types, so this geography, geometry data types, they are not being mirrored. Also, some of these new data types, so vector data type, which is in preview, I think it's today not mirrored. So with mirroring, we're looking forward to kind of shorten this limitations related to mirroring. So hopefully, look for updates, and hopefully limitations will be smaller and smaller. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Now something super new. So the change event streaming is in private preview for Azure SQL Database and Azure SQL Managed Instance. We've been blogging about this and inviting people, so some of you may know about this private preview. So what change event streaming enables you to do is to stream your data changes directly from SQL into Azure Event Hubs. Azure Event Hubs is a service in Azure that is it is quite similar to Kafka. So it is a message processor which can, with great parallelism, receive messages, process them, and have them available for various kinds of consumptions. So Azure Event Hubs, similarly as Kafka, is designed to be kind of a glue and connect different services and enable you to build different types of architectures. So it offers change data streaming that's near real time from SQL to Azure Event Hubs, and to basically empower you to democratize your data changes and serve them to anything. Today, you can achieve this with enabling change data capture on SQL and then setting up Debezium to kind of harvest and read data changes and send them to Kafka or Azure Event Hubs. Hero scenarios for change event streaming is to build event-driven systems, breaking up monolith application, achieve data synchronization across microservices, real-time analytics, and more. Currently private preview. If you want to sign up, this is the sign-up form. And let me quickly show the demo. So I have my web shop. This is my core of my business. It is running stably. We built it a while ago, and now we want to experiment and send discount coupon for buy helmets for everybody who buys a bicycle in May 2025. So we could go into this and make changes there, but what we can easily do is we can set up streaming. We stream orders into Azure Event Hubs and set up a small application that kind of tracks orders, and if order is a bicycle, we send an email coupon. So let's see how that looks like. To enable event streaming, I will go into my database, enable stream, configure. I will say I want to stream to this Azure Event Hubs, and I want to stream this table. So the setup is kind of 3 store procedure calls. And let's see how this works in action. So I have my mailbox that is currently empty, so I didn't receive any coupons. I have some events this is Azure Event Hubs. I have some events, I believe 5 of them, and the biggest ID is 11. So something happened in the past. This is my application. It is logging what is happening in the command line. So I simulate a new purchase, which is a backpack, so not a bicycle. So let's see what happens in my application. So it processed what happened in Azure Event Hubs and said no coupons for this purchase. It really went through Azure Event Hubs, because if I refresh this, I will see there is a new event there with the sequence number 12. So now let's simulate another purchase, which is actually a bicycle. Yeah, still no email here. So this one was recorded without editing. So this is as it happened. So the latency and everything is real. This is new purchase. It's a bicycle. My application processed what happened in Azure Event Hubs. Yes, it was a bicycle. Yes, and it sent an email. I just verified that it really went through this Azure Event Hubs. So I'll have a new entry, sequence number 13. And I have an email in my inbox. So this is a super agile way to kind of build new capability on top of your relational data. With minimal changes to database and existing application. Yeah, so this one, it landed in database. So very simple way, you just like enable stream, you democratize, you put your data changes into Azure Event Hubs, and then build on top of that. Join the preview today if you're interested.
So I think we have 6 more minutes. We'll need to postpone the questions, so after the session. Yeah. And we kind of have to condense this, so I'm going to totally improvise for the next 6 minutes. So how many of you here are familiar with Arc-enabled SQL Server is? A couple of you, right. So there is a new thing that we're doing with Arc-enabled SQL Server that's going to help migrations to Azure SQL Managed Instance. So Arc-enabled SQL Server is an agent that you install next as a companion, as satellite, next to your SQL Server, which enables hybrid connectivity to Azure. So it's basically your connection to Azure. So all the on-prem SQL servers that are Arc-enabled, what we're building right now, what is in the preview, in the private preview, it's going to be in public preview very, very soon, is a unified migrations experience where from a single place in portal, you'd be able to do all the migration steps. So I'm going to jump right into it. So all the steps would mean discover, assess, provision, replicate, monitor, and cut over. So very quickly, without the time to show this demo, at the top of this experience, which is going to be for Arc-enabled SQL Server, is going to be new migration journey. And at the top, you're going to be able to learn about Azure benefits, view automated assessments, which run every 7 days, or you can manually override them on your SQL Server, where it's going to recommend what kind of destination you can use, and where you can, from the same experience, provision, manage instance, start, and monitor migration. I'm going to skip the provisioning, and for the migration, we are going to have 2 options, managed instance link and log replay service. With that, customers would be able to monitor their migration from the same place and just do a click, cut over, and complete the migration. So today, what we have are a couple of different tools where you need to do this. So you need to go to one tool and the other tool, do the assessment, provision, etc. We're packaging this all into a single experience. So maybe to some of you who are interested in this, let me know. I can let you more. An additional thing that we're building into this, and it just escaped me here. No, I don't want to do that. Is the Copilot experience as well. So quickly, just to show you an example of this.
You're showing this presenter. So just do display settings and duplicate.
I thought I did.
Yeah, but
So let's go again. Display settings, duplicate. I do apologize. I'm totally improvising. But here's the thing. With this experience, we also like to build in these Copilot helpers, like here. And then on the left-hand side, anything and everything regarding all the steps of the migration process we want to help Copilot to help you with. So for example, you're asking, what kind of, what are the benefits of Azure SQL? What is my assessment result? What target should I provision? What the tool should I use to start the migration, etc. All the way through this journey, we're going to help you with the Copilot. So that's another update that I want to share with you. And I really need to close off with MI Link. Who here knows what MI Link is? Okay, so I want to talk about MI Link. MI Link is our hybrid connectivity tool to connect SQL Server with managed instance. It's a near real-time data replication. It uses distributed availability groups to establish a connection between on-prem SQL Server and managed instance in the cloud. So all of your data that you have on your SQL Server, let's say your replicated database, is replicated on the managed instance, and the application can use that managed instance as a read-only secondary. So data replicated in MI can be used as a read-only. And then you can fail over to that MI, and then you can replicate the information back. Because managed instance is SQL Server 2022 compatible, it's probably the only way of online backwards migration as well. So you can migrate to managed instance this way in an online, but now you can migrate back from managed instance back to SQL Server 2022 and above. Why 2022 and not older version? Because SQL Server was never good with backwards compatibility. The feature was built with 2022 and above. So 2022, 25, and all the future versions of SQL Server will have it. So that's also a way how to do the disaster recovery. I do not have the time for the demo, but I will tell you what my demo is about. We have like a 1 minute. Here on the left-hand side, I had SQL Server. On the right-hand side, I had managed instance. I have created the link, and I basically failed over the data 2 times. So what I wanted to show in this demo here is that I've performed 2 failovers, once when my SQL Server was primary and managed instance was secondary. So I was writing data on SQL Server. It has shown on managed instance. Then I reversed the roles. Managed instance became primary. SQL Server became secondary. Then I wrote the data on managed instance. It transferred back to SQL Server, and I did it once again. So basically, I did this whole walk through SMS to show that, and you can see it here, data written on 22, on managed instance. Managed instance was primary, and this switched back. So you can do that. You can use MI Link as a DR with SQL Server 2022 above, or to migrate one way or the other. It is also possible today, if you have managed instance and you need to replicate data to 2022 and above, maybe you can provision 2022 in VM or whatever you wanted. You can set up a link today from MI to 2022 and have the database on MI read only and use it. And I think I've improvised well enough. That's it. Thank you. So all of us are part of the also managed instance product group. So I love the fact that a lot of you guys use managed instance. Me, Sasha, and I'm going to call out another guy who have the backend, who's also from the MI team, Mladen. Yeah, right there. So if you have any additional MI questions, we'd be happy to talk to you after the session. Thank you.
More demos here. And finally, you can experience Azure SQL Managed Instance for free. Some learning resources will be available. And thank you. Leave the feedback on what application, like if this was useful or if this was horrible and you don't want to see this again, leave a, we take any feedback.
Apologies for technical problems. Yeah, we hope this was informative and useful to you, that you have learned new things. That was the idea. Right, thank you.
Thank you.